All right, and shalom, shalom. So welcome to Oklahoma City King James Bible University, and I'm Deacon Micah, and today we're going to be continuing where we left off with this Preceptor Tutorial Academy workshop on God loves the sinner but hates the sin. So hopefully then if you've seen the last teaching and you followed along with your preceptor, that you have those open. So if you have your preceptors and you were following along from the last teaching, go ahead and get your file out, because we're going to be building on from where we left off last week, and we're going to be adding more precepts on here. And when we're all done in the next 2 to 3 weeks, we'll have all of the precepts that you need to know, and the end result will be that nobody will be able to tell you from this point moving forward that God loves that sinners but hates the sin. All right, can y'all hear me? Can y'all hear me? Sweet. So am I still low? Because I see Deacon Q said I was low. So how is my volume strength? All right, so I'm going ahead and just continue moving forward. So, all right. So before we go ahead and get started, there's a couple of announcements that I wanted to make. So first one is I wanted to clear up this King James Bible, so the King James Version Online. So last week, I showed y'all this as an option to use along with the Preceptor e-Bibles for using the search functionality. And when you switch to King James 1611 and you go over to Wisdom of Solomon, then I had noted that little typo that was there in chapter 7, verse 28. So I just wanted to clear it up real quick. So I'm going to take us to Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 7, verse 28. And actually, then it's not this one, it's verse 25. All right, so for she is the breath of the power of God and a pure influence flowing from the glory of the Almighty. Therefore can no undefiled thing fall into her. So right after that teaching was over with last week, then I had received a call from John Smalls. Then to fix this right here, this undefiled, all you have to do is once you get to the Apocrypha and you get to the book that you're wanting to study out of, then you just go right here to click to switch to the standard KJV. And once you do that, it'll fix all of the punctuation, the spelling, and it'll be more moderate. And when you go back to Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 7, verse 25, it'll say, can no defiled thing fall into her? So it'll fix that error right there. And then moving forward, being in the standard version of the 1611, and you could still move around in the Apocrypha and go to the other books. So if you want to go to Judith or Idris, you can still go there. Like the only thing is once you leave the Apocrypha, let's say you go to the New Testament or back to the Old Testament, and you actually visit there, and you're still in the standard King James Version, you won't be able to go back to the Apocrypha. So you'd have to just restart the process over and go back to 1611. Then you pick your Bible in the Apocrypha that you want to study up out of. So let's go back to Wisdom of Solomon 7 and 25. And it'll say undefiled again, and you just have to go back up to the top and click switch to standard KJV, and we'll be right back there where it say defiled the way that it's supposed to be. So, the King James Version Online, and it's not a bad Bible, then all you have to do is just, when you're in the Apocrypha, just make sure that you click to standard KJV, so you'll have that moderate punctuation and grammar. In this verse 25, the defiled, then it'll say that and not undefiled. All right, so does everybody understand that? All right, so sweet. Next thing I wanted to talk about is this Elder Jenkins Sabbath class. So right within Microsoft Teams, like when you go to the Teams and you click on Elder Jenkins Sabbath videos, then I will be over time uploading Elder Jenkins Sabbath videos. So he goes live on Saturday right at 9 o'clock a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and it's a Zoom class. then if you're interested in joining that class, just send me an email at deaconmicah@kjbu.org. And what I'll do is I'll go ahead and put you on that email list so you'll be able to attend that class. If I don't know who you are, then I'm going to funnel your email right to John Smalls, and you'll have to do a security screening first. And if I get the A-OK from him, then I'll put you in the class. But we are doing that at 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time on Saturdays, and right in his class section within Microsoft Teams, the Psalms videos, and I'm uploading those, and the Deuteronomy chapter 28 videos that he was doing last year. Those are going to be in the Elder Jenkins Sabbath Bible study videos as well. And another announcement is within the Preceptor Academy, I also have my files here. So from last week and the first Preceptor Academy, then there's also notes and files there too. So if you want to see any of the notes, any of the instructions that I had up, or just any of the precepts from the last tutorials and all of that stuff, then it's here in the files, and it's up there for you to use. And over time, then I'll continue uploading and updating stuff in there too, so you can have those to help you out as we move and progress through this tutorial. All right, so moving forward, so going back into the teaching. So today, then we're going to just be covering this bottom row. So how is love defined towards God? So we're going to be covering that. So the part up here with who does God love, then I'm going to end up just going over that briefly with you guys, and I'll take full responsibility for that. Then I don't think I worded that question good enough. I looked at some of y'all homework, and a lot of the answers that I got for who does God love, technically y'all are correct, but what I was looking for is the plumb line, because within the covenant, then there are conditions that needs to be fulfilled in order to be on the Most High's good side and not on his wrathful side. So some of the precepts that I'd received is using standard King James Version. I received a lot of Deuteronomy chapter 10, verse 15. Only the Lord had a delight in thy fathers to love them, and he chose their seed after them, even you above all people, as it is this day. So I received a lot of that from the homework submissions. I also received a lot of Deuteronomy chapter 32, verse 9. For the Lord's portion is his people, Jacob is the lot of its inheritance. So I received a lot of that. I received a lot of John 3:16. So, where is it? Let me go back up. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, so a servant, that whoever believeth in him should not perish, but have everlasting life. And usually that second Idris 14:11 was tagged along with it. All of y'all are correct with those precepts that y'all had submitted for that homework assignment. But the thing is that you always have to remember that there is a plumb line within Israel. So then I'm explaining what I'm talking about with the precepts right here. So with starting with Romans chapter 11, verse 22, you always have to remember this. So behold, therefore, the goodness and severity of God on them which fell severity, but towards thee goodness, if thou continue in his goodness, otherwise thou shalt also be cut off. So yes, we are the Lord's portion, but within that category, we do have a covenant, and you do have to obey his voice. Then you'll be a peculiar nation of people to the Most High. So another precept that I'm going to show y'all is Leviticus chapter 26. So we'll start at verse 3. So if you walk in my statutes and keep my commandments and do them, then will I give you rain in due season. So that's that knowledge. And the land, which spiritually speaking, that's us, shall yield her increase, and the trees of the field shall yield their fruit. And then when you go down to verse 11, and I will set my tabernacle amongst you, and my soul shall not abhor you. So family, then that right there, you gotta pay very close attention to that. And there's a specific reason why that's pinned in there in verse 11. So, and I will set my tabernacle amongst you, and my soul shall not abhor you. That's when you're walking in my statutes and keeping my commandments and doing them. So, next precept that I want to show y'all is Psalms chapter 78. So we're going to go to the book of Psalms, chapter 78, and we're going to pick it up at verse 54. So, and he brought them to the border of his sanctuary, even to this mountain which his right hand had purchased. So he cast out the heathen also before them, and divided them in inheritance by line, and made the tribes of Israel to dwell in their tents. Yet, this is what we've all done, so just not our forefathers, but us too. Yet they tempted and provoked the Most High God, and kept not his testimonies, but turned their back and dealt unfaithfully like their fathers. They were turned aside like a deceitful bow. And this is why, for they provoked him to anger with their high places, and moved him to jealousy with their graven images. When God heard this, he was wroth, and he greatly abhorred Israel. And that abhorred, that means hate. So when you're doing things that the Most High doesn't like, that even though we're the Lord's chosen a portion, his people, you will become an adversary to the Most High than if you're doing stuff that he hates. So then you also always have to keep that in mind. So want to take y'all also to Sirach chapter 19, verse 18. Just another precept. So where is it? Then it went down. And we'll pick it up at verse 18. The fear of the Lord, so fear, that means desire. So the fear of the Lord is the first step to be accepted of him, and wisdom obtaineth his love. So that's why last week then I gave y'all Proverbs chapter 8, verse 17, which it says, I love them that love me. So semicolon, and those that seek me shall find me. So that's that clue that I gave y'all for that homework assignment on who does God love. But technically, the verses that y'all sent me, Deuteronomy 10 and 15, Deuteronomy 32 and 9, all of that, then it's technically correct. So I'm not going to dock none of y'all on that. Then that I'll take full responsibility for that. So that's going to be the homework assignment for next week, just to go back and relook at that who does God love. So before we get started with the bottom row, then I'm going to go ahead and pin in these precepts, and this be something that I want y'all to go ahead and pin down too. So we got Proverbs 8 and 17, we got Romans 11 and 22, we got Leviticus chapter 26, verse 3 and 4, and then we'll put 11 there. We got Psalms chapter 78 and 54 through 59. And we got Sirach chapter 19, verse 18. 18, verse 18. All right, so far, just along those precepts that I showed y'all about who does God love, does everybody understand what, I'm looking for from y'all guys? Does everybody understand that? Anyone? All right, so Fatima Larry, Juanita Smith, Venus Collins. Okay, sweet. So that's going to be next week's homework assignment. Just at least 3 or more precepts on who does God love, and the stuff that I already have there, just use that, to help you along with your studies when you're doing your homework. So moving along to how is love divine towards God. So going to end up using the Preceptor that's King James Bible that's within the Preceptor. So if you have the professional, all you have to do to get to it is to go ahead and click the paperclip. And once you click on the paperclip, then to the left, then it'll bring up this King James Bible PDF. And once you click on it, it'll be alongside your Preceptor file. So right here, and when you click Control F on your keyboard, it'll bring up the search functionality, and this is what you'll be using along with the knowledge that you already know when you're running precepts. So since we're trying to figure out, how is love defined towards God, what we'll do is we'll type love in on a search bar, and then we'll hit enter. And once then you do that, then it'll pull up all of the results. So it has 757 results. And we have our bookmarks all the way to the left. So you have your New Testament, your Old Testament right above. And once you click on the Old Testament and you scroll down to the bottom, so right below Malachi, the Apocrypha bookmark, it'll be right there. And all of the Apocrypha precepts will be there. So the first one that we're going to look at is going to be in the book of Sirach. So once you click Sirach, which let me zoom back out. So since love is still dialed in on the search bar, when we go to Sirach, all of the returns in Sirach, then it'll still be showing up there too. So once you're clicking and looking through the book of Sirach, you're going to find precepts as you study through the verses and decipher through them. And the first one that we're going to be looking at is going to be Sirach chapter 21, verse 15 through 17. So it'll be where is it? Let's see. Actually, my bad. Then it's the wrong one. So it's actually chapter 2. Then I skipped right over it. All right, so this is the first precept that we're going to pull right here. So it's starting at Sirach chapter 2, verse 15, all the way through 17. So they that fear the Lord, so if you have your spiritual keyword books, feared, and that means desire. So they that fear the Lord will not disobey his word, and they that love him will keep his ways. They that fear the Lord will seek that which is well pleasing unto him, and they that love him shall be filled with the law. They that fear the Lord will prepare their hearts and humble their souls in his sight. So that's first precept, and every precept we will pull tonight regarding how scriptures define love towards God, it's not going to break. So we're going to be saying the same thing during this class. So the Most High, then he's not about lip service. So when you go back to Genesis chapter 17, verse 10, which talks about our covenant, which the Most High discussed with Abraham, he told us we need to be circumcised in our hearts. And in other words, verse 16 and 17 of Sirach chapter 2, then it's letting you know, they that love him shall be filled with the law, and they that fear the Lord will prepare their hearts and humble their souls in his sight. So this is going to be the first precept, and I'm going to go ahead and copy this out of here. So highlight it, copy, Control C, and we're going to end up creating a new box. So, Sirach, chapter 2, verse 15 through 17. We'll go down. All right, and I'm going ahead and set it away. All right, so that's the first precept. And since we use the keyword, what's going to happen is just to be more organized, then what I'm going to do is use orange. So to do that, then all you have to do is just, highlight whatever word you want to use with your mouse, and then you go right up to the 2 A's, and you click on this black rectangle, and you pick whatever color you want to use. So when I'm using my Preceptor, anything that I put in orange, it's the keyword that's currently in my e-Bible. So since we have love dialed in, it's going to be orange, and then I'll make this in verse 16 orange as well. So I'll go here, make that orange, and then this right here, then we'll bold this too. All right, and then we'll make this one green since it's a spiritual word. right. All right. Sweet. All right. So that's the first precept. So just right off of the bat, Sirach chapter 2, verse 15 through 17, and it's letting us know that they that um, love him shall be filled with their law. So going back into the e-Bible, then with love still dialed in, that's still our keyword. Next one that I'm going to pull, then it's in First John. So moving over to the New Testament, just going to click this bookmark and go back down and right in First John. Then if you don't take love out of that search bar, then it's still going to be dialed in. And the first precept, once we're going through the search returns, it's going to be chapter 3, verse 18. So this is the one right here. So chapter 3, verse 18. So, my little children, let us not love in word, neither in tongue. So that all of that lip service, and you get that out of the way. But in deed, so in works and in truth. And that's exactly the point. So that lip service, you remove that out of the way, then you show your love by your works. So by taking that same thing that the Most High sowed in our hearts back in Genesis chapter 17, and you use what he sowed in us to produce some fruits on our trees. All of that lip service, then that's all vain worship. So chapter 3, verse 18, we're going to go on ahead and copy that and throw it in the Preceptor as well. So 1 John 3, verse 18, back. All right, so the same thing, since we use love, then we're going to go ahead and highlight it, go back up to the double A's, and we're going to make that orange, and we'll bowl that in. So same thing, so we're building on. So 1 John chapter 3, verse 18, let us not love in word, neither in tongue, which this right here, then that is a semicolon. So it's letting you know that what's coming afterwards is going to be a shift in direction. But in deed, so in works and in truth. And when you go to Psalms chapter 119, verse 142, it lets you know that the Most High's law is the truth. So next verse, going back over to the Preceptor, and we still have love dialed back in. And when you're scrolling through all of the books, just going through them, you're going to find the verses that you need. Yes, then you're going to spend a lot of time. Yes, it's going to be time consuming. But the good thing is when you put in the work, you're going to find all of the verses that you need, and you're going to also stumble across other things that's not going to be tied to your studies, but it'll help you to unlock and answer other questions that you may have had. So the next one is going to be in Matthew, and we're going to just be still clicking next, going through all of the search returns. And the first one is going to be chapter 15, verse 8 and 9. So we already went up. Actually, we go back down. So this is the one right here. So this people draw near unto me with their mouth. So that's exactly what First John was telling us about. And honoreth me with their lips, but their heart is far from me. But in vain they do worship me, teaching for doctrines the commandments of men. So it's the same thing. You know, when you go back to Sirach chapter 2, verse 15 through 17, it's letting you know that they that fear the Lord shall be filled with the law, and you're going to prepare your heart. So this Matthew chapter 15, verse 8 and 9, I'm going to copy that, and we're going to put this in a Preceptor as well. Matthew chapter 15, 8, 9. So 8. Then we have verse 9 right there. All right, so we're going ahead and bold this right here. So And I'm bolding that because that's something that we always need to emphasize on when you're looking at that verse. So, but in vain they do worship me. And reason why it's vain is because you're drawing near unto him with your mouth and you're honoring him with your lips. But your heart, which he's telling you back in verse 17 to prepare, and if you truly desire him, you got that way somewhere else. You know, the lip service, all of that, going to church, professing how much you love the Most High, or telling other people how much outwardly you love him with your lips, and your heart is in a whole nother place, and it's vain and it's good for nothing. So we'll pull another precept. The next one we're going to pull, which then I'm not using a keyword to pull this one, and I'm just knowing that based off of the knowledge that then I've accumulated from doing independent studies, is going to be Malachi chapter 1, verse 6. So going to head on over to Malachi in 1 verse 6. So we're going to pull that first, and then we'll talk about it once it's in a preceptor. So copy this. We're going to go back over. All right. So a son honoreth his father. So it's right there. And then he flips it on you. And a servant his master. So if then I be a father, where is my honor? And if I be a master, where is my fear? Saith the Lord of hosts unto you, O priests that despise my name, and ye say, wherein have we despised thy name? So then if the Most High, which we know that he's our master in heaven, where's his fear, his desire? So going to bold that one and make it orange, because now we're going to switch the keyword, and we're going to put love on pause and use fear. So it builds back on what Matthew chapter 15, verse 8 and 9, and 1 John 3 and 18 is saying. So the reason why he's asking, where's his fear, it's because these people, they're drawn into him with their mouth, and you're honoring him with your lips, but your heart, which that's what he's concerned about, then it's in a whole nother spot. So if he's the master, where is his fear? So just with that fear dialed in, we're going to pull up the next precept. So instead of using love, we're going to put fear here. And when you type that in now, then it's pulling up all of the results for fear. The verse that we're going to be looking for, then if we were to start scanning through everything, it's going to be in Sirach. And just to prevent from wasting time, going to just use the down arrow. And let me go back. So the verse is going to be, this is it actually right here. So bam, that's the one. So whoso feareth the Lord, so we know that fear means desire. Whoever feareth the Lord will receive his discipline, and they that seek him early shall find favor. So I'm going to take that, and we're going to make a spot for Sirach chapter 32, verse 14. All right, so we're going to highlight that, change it, and make it orange. Since we switched over the keyword, now let me go back. Let's see. Use fear. So, whoso feareth the Lord will receive his discipline, and they that seek him early shall find favor. So, when you go back to Malachi using this precept, a son honoreth his father, and a servant his master. If then I be a father, where is my honor? And if I be a master, where is my fear? That discipline. That's what he's looking for. And now using discipline, we can figure out more what's going on here just from switching up the keywords. So now then I'm going to take discipline and make this one orange. And the reason why this one is becoming orange now is because going back into the preceptor, we're going to remove fear out of the way and put discipline there. And we have 13 search results. So going back to previous, we're going to go back and just scroll through everything. And our precept that we're looking for is right here in the Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 6, verse 17 through 20. So this is the verse right here. For the very true beginning of her, which this is talking about Christ, is the desire of discipline. And the care of discipline is love. So we're bringing it back full circle, going back to love, which was our original keyword. And love is the keeping of her laws, and the giving heed unto her laws is the assurance of incorruption. And incorruption maketh us near unto God. So just taking that right there, I'm going to take the entire thing, copy that, and go back over to the Preceptor. So we've got Wisdom of Solomon. Six, verse 16 through 20. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and clear this up real quick. Go back. Actually, that's 19, not 20. All right, so gonna take discipline and make it orange. Since we flipped the keyword, and then we have love right there, because now we're going to go back to using love as a keyword. All right, and so far, before I go any further, then I just want to see how everybody is holding up. So how's everybody doing? All right, sweet. So you're learning. Okay, I understand better. All right, so what I did is it's a little more complex than last week. Then I'm switching up the keyword, because sometimes to pull more precepts to answer a question or to finish a study, then you may not find everything that you need on one keyword. So we started with love, which when we had love in there, then we pulled in Sirach that's going to be filled with being filled with his law and keeping his ways. And then from that, then we got some more information in John, letting us know that it's not a lip service thing. You're doing this in deed and in truth. And the thing with Matthew 15 and 8 and 9, and Malachi 1 and 6 is precepts that I didn't use the search functionality to find them. And those were just things that, and I know just from doing my studies over these few years that I've been studying my Bible. And when you go from fear, which we pulled from Malachi, you'll find this discipline, which it'll run you back to this in Wisdom of Solomon 6 and 16 through 19, and it'll bring you back to love. So that's where we are right now. And going back to love, back in the Preceptor, we're not done yet. So we're going to put love there. And the reason why we're going back here is because we found something important in Wisdom of Solomon chapter 6, verse 17. So the very true beginning of her is the desire of discipline, and the care of discipline is love, and love is the keeping of her laws. And then when you go back to verse 19, it's saying, and uncorruption maketh us near unto God. So keeping that discipline, that's what draws you near unto the Most High. Which, when you go back to Matthew 15 and 8 and 9, this people draw near unto me with their mouth and honor me with their lips, but their heart is far from me. And the reason why is because that discipline is not sitting there. So this is Christ speaking right here, and we're getting ready to pull a precept out of the law. So we got love dialed already back into the preceptor, and the one that we're going to be looking for, if you were just moving around through the Old Testament, namely Deuteronomy, with love dialed in, it's going to be, here we are, Deuteronomy chapter 6, verse 5 through 6. This is the one right here. And thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, which the Most High, then he's explaining this right here in our law. And thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart. So that's the thing that commonly every last one of us wants to keep back and bring everything else, our lip service and these fleshly offerings, but your heart, it's way somewhere else. So, and thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart and with all thy soul and with all thy might. And these words which I command thee this day shall be in thine heart. So you're circumcising your heart with the instructions that he gave us, that discipline. So this right here, then we finally pulled one out of the law, and what's going to happen is going to go back here and type it in there. 6 verse 5 and 6. We're going to clean that up, so like that. So we got verse 5, and then we're pitting verse 6 here. And it's just my preference. And when I'm pulling precepts out of the first 5 books of the law, I give it, an additional courtesy. So I'm going to make this blue. You don't have to do that. Then that's just my preference. When I'm running precepts coming out of the first 5 books of the law, then I make them blue. And oh, shoot. Fit this back. All right. So, back over. Nope. And we're going to make that love, we're going to put that back orange. Bam. So that's right there. And I'm getting ready to add on another precept, and I'm not going to use the search functionality. Then this is just one that came into my head. So going to go back over to the Bible, and we're going to leave the Old Testament and go back to the Apocrypha. So 2nd Esdras, chapter 9 is what we're looking for, and it'll be verse 31. I think that's it. All right, so I already got to go down. There we go. So it's going to be verse 39, verse 31 through 33. And that's it. So, for behold, so remember, I sow my law in you. So that's what was sowed in us back in Genesis chapter 17. And it shall bring forth fruit in you. So those works. And ye shall be honored in it forever. But our fathers which received the law kept it not, and observed not thine ordinances. And though the fruit of thy law did not perish, neither could it, for it was thine. Yet they that received it perished, because they kept not the thing that was sowed in them. And it's not only with our forefathers, and this is also with us too, while we're living our journeys in this life. Most High, then he's telling us that it shall bring forth fruit in us. So then if you're not preparing your hearts, which that starts with the very beginning of that precept that we ran at the beginning of this workshop, you're going to be one of those same people that's in that 2nd Esdras verse that's going to perish because you've kept not the thing that was sowed in you. So going to put 2nd Esdras chapter, I gotta switch the color back. I'll switch that back later. Put 2nd Esdras chapter 9 verse 31 through 33. So I'm gonna clean this up so make it 4 lines. And we'll change this and make that black. So we got to go up here. And we got that one taken care of, which now that we're talking about this right here, and where is it? So so verse 33. Then I'm gonna bold this one black because I'm getting ready to run another precept on what Idris was letting us know in that verse right here. So yet they that received it perished because they kept not the thing that was sowed in them. So verse that I'm getting ready to show y'all is Genesis chapter 17 verse 14. So we're going to use the down arrows to get to verse 17, and we're looking for verse 14. So I'm going to go down, and this is where Second Idris was referencing right here. So this is the law right here. And we know that the law, then it doesn't perish and it's not done away with, and this is still in effect, and it's fair game even today. So in the uncircumcised man-child, so that's M-A-N, not M-E-N, so that's male and female, whose flesh of his foreskin, it's talking about your heart, is not circumcised, that soul shall be cut off from among his people. And then we have a semicolon right there, and this is the reason why. Then he has broken my covenant. And that covenant is you're being circumcised. And, the keeping and being filled with the Most High's law, then that's your discipline right there. So you need to draw unto the Most High with your heart prepared and not with just lip service. Your faith without works, which James chapter 2 verse 17, it's dead, being alone. So we got Genesis chapter 17 verse 14. We're going to bring that one over and put this in a Preceptor 2. All right, so I got it. And since it's coming out of the first 5 books, then it's just my preference. So I'm going to go ahead and make this blue. And it just mirrors exactly then how I studied in my own Bible. Then I use verses that's coming out of first 5 books, and I actually highlight those and make those green. And then the spiritual word right here, man-child, and I'm going to go ahead and make that green as well. And now the last few precepts, we're going to go back to using love, which when I gave y'all the homework about 2 weeks ago, then I gave y'all a hint of where to go to find some of the answers. So I said 1 John. So with love dialed in, and it's Control F. So I'm going to go back, hit love, and click enter. So it's going to pull all of the search results. Then we're going to go back down to 1 John, which then he says a whole lot in 1 John about what love is. In the first one, once we're here, you just click next. And you click next again, and the one that we're looking for is going to be, which a lot of people have seen it before, is 1 John chapter 5 verse 3. So this is the one right here. For this is the love of God, that we keep his commandments. So that's what that love is, and his commandments are not grievous, which then it cuts off right there, and it picks up right back off at the top. But anyways, and I'm just going to go ahead and pull it to make it easier from another Bible. So 1 John chapter 5 verse 3. And this is the precept right there. For this is the love of God. And this is one of the best books that defines what love is. And it's so clear that, you just can't, try and take it out of context and make it say something else. So for this is the love of God, that we keep his commandments. And his commandments are not grievous. So none of them are hard to do. If you truly want to serve the Most High with all of your heart, mind, and soul and strength, all of them, they can be done. So actually, it's the wrong one. I want to go here. So 1 John 5:3. So got that precept there. And I'm going to go ahead and bold that. And then with love still dialed in, second one to be in 2 John, and we go up. And this is the other one right here. And this is love, that we walk after his commandments. So this is the commandment that, as ye have heard from the beginning, you should walk in it. So John, then he's given us some more, that we walk after his commandments. So that's what love is. That's how the Bible is defining that towards the Most High. It has nothing to do with lip service, and it's walking after the Most High's commandments, and it's more of an action. So you're doing this in deed and in truth, and not just professing it openly with your mouth. So it's saying the same thing over and over again, and that's one of a good indication that you're using your preceptor correctly. If the verses are saying the same thing, because scripture, it doesn't break. So we're going to go ahead and highlight that, and we will 2 John 6. Actually, I forgot to write John there. So 6. We'll bold that. And forgot to put the orange there for love, since that's in the control F. So we're going to bold this one too. And then the last one that we're getting ready to pull before we close this one out would be from the book of John. So Yahushua is going to weigh in on this too. So with love still dialed in, we're going to go to the book of John, and you can, same thing with love still dialed in there, still going to show results based on where you're at. And the precept that we're going to pull, it's going to be in John chapter 14, and let me find it. That right there, which I'm going to go ahead and just pull it up on the other one, because then it's all coming off of this page starting on the other one. So go to the book of John chapter 14 and go down to 21. So he that has my commandments and keepeth them, he is it that loveth me. It's just that clear. And he that loveth me shall be loved of my Father. And before I move further, then I'm going to go on ahead and highlight this and re-emphasize on it. And he that loveth me shall be loved of my Father. So when y'all are going back over, going up here, who does God love? That's a good one to throw there. Because then if you're doing iniquity, we already have all of these precepts here about how the Most High feels about sinners, which this is just from 2 weeks ago. All of those precepts are there. Remember Sirach 12:6? For the Most High hates sinners, and will repay vengeance unto the ungodly, and keepeth them against the mighty day of their punishment. And Wisdom of Solomon chapter 14:9. For the ungodly and its ungodliness are both alike hateful unto God. So that's what I was trying to get y'all to hone in on when I gave that homework assignment. Yes, and y'all were correct with Deuteronomy chapter 10, verse 15, about the Most High setting his love on us and our fathers and their seed after them. But you have to always be mindful that there's a plumb line within our covenant. Then if you're walking after the flesh, then you're going to get that second death. So going back to John chapter 14, verse 21, he that has my commandments and keepeth them, he is it that loveth me, and he that loveth me shall be loved of my Father, the one that's keeping the commandments, and I will love him and will manifest myself to him. And then we have verse 23, Jesus answered and said unto him, if a man love me, he will keep my words. And that sounds exactly like what Sirach was saying when we go back and pull up the stuff that we pulled in a preceptor. So right there, they that fear the Lord will not disobey his word, and they that love him will keep his ways. So let's go back and look at what verse 23 is saying. Jesus answered and said unto him, if a man love me, he will keep my words, and my Father will love him, and we will come unto him and make our abode with him. So what I'm going to do is go on ahead and highlight this. So we got John 14, verse 21. Then we'll make another one for John chapter 14, verse 23. And we're going to go back and pull verse 23. I'm going to pull that and I'm going to paste that in there too. So this right here is what I'm going to highlight and make orange, since love is still our keyword that we're using in the search bar. And I'll highlight this one too in verse 23. We go back. So I went over it. And since I want y'all to really focus in on this right here, I'm a bold list in black. So when y'all are going back and looking at, who does God love, applying that plumb line there, just make sure that you're being mindful of that right there. So that being said, then that wraps up like this preceptor tutorial on, how is love defined towards God. So we went ahead and we pulled all of these precepts, and what I'm going to do is going to go on ahead and start dialing them in. So we move this out of the way. We go back here. And Nikita, then I want you to email me at deaconmicah@kjbu.org so I can straighten out your preceptor, and then you saying it's different than mine. So email me at deaconmicah@kjbu.org. All right. So with how is love defined towards God, now that we have all of our stuff here, we'll close this out. And got to go back down. But won't go nowhere. And I'm going to start dialing them in. So the first one was the Sirach, chapter 2, verse 15 through 17. So that was first precept. Second one was 1 John, chapter 3, verse 18. The third one was Matthew, chapter 15, verse 8 and 9. (15, 8, and 9). And then go back down. We had Malachi chapter 1, verse 6 was next precept that we pulled. Next one was Sirach chapter 32, verse 14. Verse 14. We have Wisdom of Solomon chapter 6, verse 16 through 19. The other one was Deuteronomy chapter 6, verse 5 and 6. Go back, 6, verse 5 and 6. And we pulled Second Esdras, because we was talking about the covenant, chapter 9, verse 31 through 33. So, Second Esdras, 9. Oh, yeah, Elder Smith, and you can use my precept, use my email as well. So yeah, send me an email at deaconmicah@kjbu.org. And while I'm logging in these precepts, I just want to hear from everybody that's in the comment section. How was the tutorial? How are y'all tracking along? Are y'all picking up? Or, how y'all doing compared to 2 weeks ago today? And, if you need any additional help. So just do that for me while I'm typing in these precepts. All right, so we got Genesis chapter 17, verse 14. This is the next precept. We got 1 John 5 and 3. What's the other one? We got 2 John 6. What's the next precept? Probably going to end up filling this up. 2 John 6. And then we have John chapter 14, verse 21. Then we have John chapter 14, verse 23. So let me... Almost. Didn't get it, but almost. All right, so let me see. I see the keyword is of the uttermost importance in precept and not just following the given verses in the columns. So thank you. Yep, then that's correct. And another thing is the more that you study along with using this preceptor, your knowledge is going to continue to increase. And as it increases, then you're not going to be really using none of the keywords that much. Because to be honest with you, putting this tutorial together, then I'm only using the keyword search function just to show y'all how it works. But when I built this thing, all of these precepts, and it was all off of knowledge just of what I've seen from all of my independent studies. So each tutorial has given me more clarity. That's good. Then that's what I like to see. I'm starting to get it. It's like that. So we're going to go ahead and save this right here. Prepare teachings and place it. So that's been saved, and before then I head on out, then we are going to get ready to issue some more homework. So assignments. All right, so create. All right, so homework is revisiting who does God love. And the instructions is there's a plumb line within Israel. Yes, Israel is the portion of God's inheritance, but Romans 9:6 lets us know not all Israel is Israel. So how is God's love work? What do you need to do to obtain his favor and love? So bam. And since today is the 17th, then I'm going to end up setting that back to the 31st, because I'm going to end up doing another teaching on divesting, since a lot of us still hadn't gotten a point yet. So next week, then I won't be doing a Preceptor Academy. It's likely going to be a divestment teaching, and we'll convene back on the 31st of January. So I'm getting ready to assign this. It's been created. All right, so that being said, I will come back and review these lessons once I purchase the Preceptor Pro. They're very helpful. I am working on my knowledge gaining now, and right now I'm using my Bible with the Apocrypha only. All right, so That being said, family, then this assignment and this tutorial, then it's been issued out and tutorial's complete. So until next time, family, want to say shalom.